George, thank you for coming to
Thank
our
you for
studios.
having me.
You're wonderful to have.
Thank you. I appreciate being with you.
With your insight and also your comments. Shall we start with the 50% coverage, the fiscal cliff everyone is talking about?
Of course everyone is talking about, because you have 17 days left.
Exactly.
In order to try to reach some kind of a solution. Perhaps at the last minute, both the Republicans and the Democrats will give in some, and we will have at least a temporary kicking the can down the road solution.
Do you lean to the side that there will be a deal?
I'm hoping that there will be a deal. I think that there probably will be some kind of a deal, because no one wants to see us go over that fiscal cliff. Now, Mr. Bernanke coined the phrase fiscal cliff originally, and I think it's very accurate. I think what a lot of people don't understand is what it entails. It's both spending cuts that are automatic, and of course, taxes going up. But then taxes may be going up no matter what.
Anyways, right? But if we do go over the fiscal cliff, how deeply will U.S. be impacted if it goes over the cliff?
It depends for how long we're over the fiscal cliff. Will there be a quick meeting in January for a solution in case we do go over? Probably. I think right now the markets are more or less signaling that last-minute compromise will become a fact.
Even if they do find a short-term solution, how healthy can it be? Yes, Obama said it has to be done before Christmas, but there are so many complicated issues, as you know, the 35 versus 39%, or the, cut.
It's more than that, because no one is understanding here quite well that you're going to have 3.5% increase in tax, plus you have state and local taxes. Now in New York, state and local taxes are 12%.
So do you think it will be a healthy solution, even if they do find something?
I'm hoping that it will be.
Let's go back to Bernanke.
Okay.
You said that he's the one who
coined the phrase,
Coined
basically.
the phrase, that's interesting. Yes. And he also is the historical Bernanke right now, because
he has done very well. And keeping low interest rates should be a great solution going forward. Now, what the markets were worried about is putting targets.
That's right, the numerical targets.
The numerical target, and that could be distorted by lots of different unforeseen political and economic events, and the weather. Look at what Superstorm Sandy did to New York. It totally changed our economy in New York, at least for the short term.
And even the whole GDP. We will see the effect on it, right?
And so we don't know what effect that will have on real labor rates. And I'm not an economist. That's for the economists. I'm a commodity watcher.
That's right.
And let's now say, what will happen to commodities because of this? And I think that is a more interesting topic from my point of view.
What will happen?
Commodities, of course, depend on a lot of other things besides economic demand. They depend on the weather. They depend on shipping. They depend on political events. They depend on taxes. So there are a lot of factors. And then, of course, when you have a year in which prices rise tremendously, like last year we had a drought in the United States, you had many commodity prices rise up because inability to grow. And so farmers plant even more for next year's high prices. Will that mean that there will be plenty of commodities or not? We don't know yet. We have to see how these soft commodities, coffee, sugar, cocoa, wheat, and corn, all grow going forward. The idea right now is that whatever you eat or wear is going to cost more.
And it was also seen in terms of the exports, right? We saw the droughts effect and the trade gap widened.
Exactly.
So will we see more of those in the next quarters and the upcoming quarters?
We probably will, and that may also affect economic outlook. But then, of course, on top of soft commodities, let's talk about the hard commodities, the metals.
Gold and silver,
Well,
and yes,
gold,
where
of
are they
course,
going?
Well, gold will react to inflationary pressures, and today's figures were not inflationary. This morning,
That's right.
we had figures that were not inflationary.
Inflation seems to be contained.
It
Is that right?
seems to be contained, but then why is it contained? And then, of course, we haven't yet started the reconstruction for Superstorm Sandy or the tsunamis or the other ills that we've had all year. And so copper could become very interesting going forward because every automobile will have about 40 pounds of copper. About 200,000 cars were destroyed in this storm alone. The car fleet in the United States is now averaging 11 years of no replacement. That means more car sales next year.
Oh, even more than 15.5 million that was announced?
Correct.
Okay.
That could happen. And then, of course, all that also depends on the economy.
But
will the people spend to replace the
true.
automobile or not? And that will also depend on the fiscal cliff solution or not.
So they're all correlated. But
Everything
let's talk
is
about
related.
the U.S. economy, George. I know you're not an economist, but you are well seasoned in terms of every rationale and correlation that, as you explained. My producer, when he talked to me, asked me, U.S. economy relatively seems to be, improving, and it looks better than the rest of the economies in the world. Do you agree?
Well, that doesn't, I agree, but I don't see that an improvement over snail's pace recovery in the Eurozone, where we have more problems upcoming now. You still have to face, after Greece, Italy and Portugal and Spain, and the lack of progress in the Eurozone for an economic recovery could hurt demand. And then, of course, you have China, which is the X factor. China has had some decent figures recently, but they're trying to cool off. So does that mean they're going to stop taking deliveries of copper? And then, of course, going back to gold, you've had an interesting phenomena of countries that mine gold, own gold, store gold, buying gold in the world markets. And
do they still keep doing it?
Well,
all the central bankers?
Well, look, China bought gold, Mexico bought gold, Russia bought gold, and they buy gold because it's another way of diversifying their assets and getting rid of excess dollars.
And, what will the impact be on the whole commodities, these buyings, and how long do you think it's going to last? And this is my last question.
It could be years.
It could be years.
It could be years. The recovery, if it starts to take place, won't be overnight.
Thank you so much for coming, George.
Thank you
Our time
for
is up,
having
but
me.
we need to have you again at our studios.
It'll be my pleasure anytime.
And you've been in Turkey, right? I have to ask this to you because
I've visited.
Our audience is Turkish. You've been in Hungary. You've been in Turkey.
Well, I lived in Hungary. I've lived in Switzerland, in Germany, Spain.
Which year was it in Turkey?
Oh, goodness. I think it was the 1950s. Long time ago.
How did you like Turkey?
I enjoyed it very much. I think Turkey's the most wonderful, most hospitable place. I eat in Turkish restaurants quite a bit.
We have to get you back to Turkey again.
Okay.